Getting ready to load up here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 carts full of stuff, all loaded down. I mean, that is a huge freaking load on this little trailer. Where are you going at, Sandy S's?
I'm heading out to Montana.
She's going to Montana. So I'm gonna be building alone. I have all this stuff here, as you can see. It's very early in the morning. I also have water in here. Got about 40 gallons or so. I mean, this thing is packed. 2 huge windows back there too. I'm taking her to the airport now. That's why she's with me, even though she's going to Montana. So I got the Jenny set up and I'm unpacking the truck. It's probably like 5 in the morning. The windows, neither of them broke, those freaking things. I'm so glad I did not have them in there correctly. Now that I have this down though, I can go ahead and I can set up my table and my chop saw. Got the first half of the floor done. Well, I had to measure and cut 100 freaking blocks before putting this subfloor down. And of course it went a whole lot quicker because I went ahead and set up my cutting station right here. And I go over this setup in previous videos because I covered the building of this entire freaking house. So check those out. At the end of this video, you'll see a playlist, and this whole build is in that playlist. So if you're curious about how I did all this, check it out. Earlier videos, there was a giraffe that came through. The tree guys call that thing a giraffe. I've never freaking seen one. I've done quite a bit of tree work, so that thing's pretty nuts. I got the subfloor down on this addition. I'm getting ready to go ahead and start framing up the roof. We got severe thunderstorm warning rolling in. Now let's do a quality control on each layer. I'm cooking up some soup here, waiting on it to boil, and real quick, this thing is freaking awesome. It connects right to any DeWalt battery. I'm using it with my off-brand DeWalt batteries, but I mean, that's what it is right there. It pretty much turns your DeWalt battery into a charge pack, so you can charge anything, and it's very nice. It's got the little plugs right here so that you can connect that in and then charge cell phones and other smaller devices. All my stuff is getting soaked, but it is what it is. My rain barrel was a little bit low. It had like 1/3 of a 55 gallon full, so it's getting nice and full as well. Everything's on battery power now. Here's my setup for the rain while it's raining outside and everything. I got a Bluetooth speaker, sync to a smartphone, and it's all getting power with this DeWalt power pack, like so. Went ahead and took a shower out in the rain on this platform. And a real quick pro tip here, you got like a big tree and you want to take a rain shower, if you just walk around it, you can find a spot where water collects and all comes down at one spot. Like basically, I don't even know what the heck you would call it, but I was lucky. See, like right here, it's just like, you can just get like a freaking handful real quick, and you can get in a spot like that for taking a shower, and it's, you know, it's a considerable amount of water. I had one video quite a ways back when I was building that structure there in the rain by myself at nighttime, and I had like 6 people ask me, how in the heck did you get the roof beams up by yourself. So I'm gonna go ahead and show how I do this by myself. See that clamp? That's the ticket right there. Just kind of eyeball it. Pop one here. And get it in place more or less. And grab another clamp. And secure it. Now these posts, they were perfectly plumb on both sides. And when I say both sides, I mean like this and like that. And it's been like 2 weeks since I was here and it rained. And not to mention I had to freaking rip these. They were 6s. So what I'm doing here is I went ahead and I tacked this with a nail, pushed it up real tight there, tacked it with one nail. And now what I'm doing over here is to make sure that everything stays plumb and level. First, I leveled the top. There is level at the top right there, that line right there. So what I'm doing here is I'm just very simply move it. Okay, it's just slightly off here. I already moved it a little bit, but as you can see, it's just slightly off. The top needs to go this way, just a teeny tiny bit. So the way that I achieve that is I have this clamp right here, and then all I gotta do is pop that off there, and then just simply move it over a little bit, and then reclamp it. When I go ahead and I put my stringers on here, I'm gonna do the same thing I just did there with that post, but of course I'm gonna be doing it with the stringers, okay? And so I'll be moving it this way or that way to make sure that this post stays plumb and the whole building stays completely plumb. Here I have top of the line DeWalt 20 volt max XR, which is a brushless impact, and this thing is incredible. I still use my other Bauer, and I just pretty much keep like a Phillips head in it all the time, so it's always ready for that. And I use this for everything else. It's got 3 settings here. I like everything all the way open, so I pretty much just use it on 3 24/7. Sometimes I occasionally have to kick it down a little bit. But okay, so basically the batteries last a little bit longer and it's a little bit quicker. That's pretty, I mean, as far as balance and everything's concerned, it's a little bit better for real tight stuff like when I'm trying to do this corrugated and everything. But for the most part, I mean, as far as balance and everything's concerned, it's pretty comparable to the Bauer. The only things that are really better about it are the faster speeds and the longer battery life. So I'll go ahead and kick this out real quick. And I just got this all straight and everything. So, and when you're drilling, when you're putting in lag bolts and stuff like this, like very serious, serious stuff, like it looks better if you put one there and then put one right above it right there. But you really should keep everything kind of staggered and like chaotic, because it won't split the wood, and it's just structurally it's more sound like that. As you can see, I mean, that thing is nice. And another reason this thing is a little bit better than the Bauer is because it's a little bit more compact as far as the top and the bottom are concerned. I mean, if you look at it like that or from above, you can see the obvious difference. You can get into tighter spaces. But I will tell you this much. Okay, these freaking Bauer bits, Phillips head bits right here, are better than DeWalt for some freaking reason. I have no clue why. They're new, and I mean, I straight took up like literally like 250, 300 freaking screws out of a deck to replace decking, and I use this same freaking bit, so which is incredible. If anybody's ever taken up decking with a Phillips head, like, you go through bits, but for whatever reason, these freaking Bauer impact rated bits are just incredible. And I cannot stress this enough, especially with these freaking ceiling beams and floor beams, you have to crown your boards. All right, I've got my 4 beams up for the roof. Got another crazy thunderstorm going on here. So rain time, I'm going ahead and making up some oatmeal and some coffee. And it's easy to make coffee if you've got a paper towel and a rubber band. You just kind of pour the boiling water right on it and it'll just percolate right on through the oatmeal. That's easy. Dump it right on in there. $10 a freaking bottle. Really good. Putting down the oatmeal. The rain's done and I'm putting up this stringer right here. And what I'm doing here is I connected this come along to the bottom here and the top here. And I already tacked this side of the stringer down. So this post is not going to go anywhere right now. It's good. And it was the best post out of these two as far as straightness. That's why I started with it. So before I tack the stringer right here to here, what I have to do is, see, I had to rip that freaking thing and just all the rain and everything. It needs, the top of it needs to come this way a little bit. The bottom's fine. It's plumb. It was plumb when I put it there. But since I had to rip it and all the rain and, you know, this, that, and the third, it freaking, the top of it moved this way a little bit. So what I did here is I put that climbing rope up there, attached the come along right there, and I'm gonna go ahead and just pull it in the plumb before I tack this stringer right here. And then after I tack that stringer right there, it ain't gonna go nowhere. So just real gently pulling it in the plumb with each click. And then once I got it where I want it, I'll go ahead and tack it. And then a couple months or so, I'll go ahead and start posting videos of all this tree climbing and tree work I gotta do. I mean, this place has just got crazy trees all around it. I'm gonna have to do a whole lot of climbing and tree work. And I'll go ahead and post videos about that as well once I get to it. So subscribe if you're interested in learning anything about that. Got the top of it more or less framed up as far as it is nice and sturdy now. Like everything is where it needs to be. All right, I got the first half of the roof framed and I'm using 16-foot long 2x4s, and each one I'm just holding it to the beams with each 2x4, 16-foot long, is held to the beams with 8 very strategically well-placed toenails. So got my plywood up there on the rooftop deck. I put it up there and I made that rooftop deck just to make roofing and all the high work a whole lot easier. So hit my stopping point, which was 1/4 of the roof dried in. Cooked myself up some dinner, which was oatmeal, and I'm just kind of chilling on this. It will be a kitchen dining room, but right now it's kind of like a porch with a 1/4 roof on it. So I'm just kind of chilling out here. I'm definitely going to need a deck because it's freaking awesome out here. This whole year I've been building and everything. It's kind of felt like a video game, like Age of Empires or something. Like I've slowly been building up and making life more and more comfortable. And slowly over time I've established a pretty good deal here, and it's awesome. But it is sort of like a video game, but only it's reality. And I looked out again right when I was getting ready to take a shower. It started pouring. So it worked out really good for me here. And I got this nice area right here where all the rain really comes down, and it's perfect for a shower. Like if you walk, I talked about this earlier when I make the video, but if you walk around like a big tree while it's raining, you can find a spot where the water consolidates and it makes like a really good shower spot. Trying to get work done, and my rain barrels are full, and I just took a shower last night, and I really want to get some work done, so this rain is not a blessing at this time. It really kind of sucks. You probably should use 2x6s when you're doing stringers, and you should use something thicker for the beams as well. But that's pretty much what it should look like when you frame something up as far as a floor or roof is concerned, if you take your time and do it correctly. In the middle of the screen right there, that's my seam at the 4-foot mark. And after all that rain and everything, not a drop got through it. And I mean, that's the seam. And I went ahead and I caulked it really good with the liquid nails Fuse It before I actually joined the two pieces together. And then I put another coat of, another bead of caulk over top of it and sealed it really good. All right, I got the first half all done as far as the roof is concerned for the most part, framing and sheathing and all that fun stuff. So now I'm just working on the second part here. I just went ahead and popped this string line up right there. If you can see it, I do not know, but there's a string line there going between those two 2x4s up top, so that when I put the 16 footers up there, I can just put them right up against it, and I don't got to do a whole bunch of measuring and what have you. I also put these marks like that right where the freaking board goes, and I do it on all of them. So then I just put it up here, lay it right in the little, right between the lines, and then just go ahead and toe-nail it down on both sides. So I'm toying with the idea of doing, like, it'll be less than 8-inch centers for this half of the roof. I would like to do it like this, which is the proper way, but I'm running low on time, so I've got to come up with something. Hopefully that'll work. I'm gonna go ahead and try it. I mean, that's gonna save me over a day and a half if I just go ahead and just put stringers in between each one of those, just like that, instead of blocking all that. Like, it's gonna save me so much time, it's ridiculous. But I'm worried about the joints where the two pieces of plywood come together, because that stuff's only 1/2 inch. So I've been using liquid nails to fuse it between, even with this over here, but hopefully that'll be enough to hold it together. I mean, with that small of a space, I think it'll work out. Plus I'll have more nails, so we'll see. Hopefully it works out for me. Looks like I made the right choice going ahead and putting these stringers on. They're on about 8-inch centers, and the reason I did it was to save myself a day of labor making blocking like I did on this, and it seems like it's going to work out just fine. You know, I'm putting pressure on it and everything, and it feels putting pressure on it at the seams, and that's what I'm worried about there, and of course the middle. And I mean, it feels fine. You know, I walked around on it and everything, and not only that, but just like I did here, I'm also going to go ahead and I put a liquid nails, fuse it in between each seam really liberally, and coat it on the top real good. And then I'm also going to come back and hit it with fiberglass before I prime it. This is a huge tip when you're trying to place plywood. I mean, it's really useful for tongue and groove, but it's also good for this. I mean, this isn't, you know, I'm not at the point where I'd be using this right now, but I'm going to show what I'm talking about. Okay, say, you know, you got it closed, but not quite. You don't want to mess your stuff up. So you got to have a sledgehammer and a board, and just kind of, you know, move it. Just jump up a little bit while you're hitting it, and you can get it just right without messing up the plywood. See, got that nice. Alright, just loading up now. Had to make another trip, clear out to pretty far away from the mountains, that's for sure. It's like a whole day thing, just coming here to grab a little bit of lumber. So, but I had to, I just didn't have room for it. Where I am now, I am offloaded. I offloaded all the stuff off of the top of the truck, which is on the ground there. And I'm working on this weird part right here where I gotta build this wall. Right, so now what I'm doing is I'm cutting the top off of this corrugated here. And when you do this, you wanna leave this and then start right here, so that while you're cutting, you don't have this just like flopping and what have you. As I just cut that with this, I'll go ahead and do a quick review on it. It's just a 20-volt max DeWalt angle grinder, and I did all that battery powered. I mean, that was a pretty big cut. So I mean, this thing definitely holds up quite well. I've been happy with it. I've been using it a lot, and I use a Diablo cutting blade right there. All right, now I've got everything nice and sealed. I caulked all the seams and everything, and I put these two things on there, as you can see, where my finger's pointing right there. And I got that all done. I might take that out at some point and put window there or something. I don't know, but that's all done now.